Hello, my name's Jill and I work for the Devonshire Educational Trust. I'm usually based at Chatsworth House in Derbyshire, but right now, like all of you, I'm spending all of my time at home. Today I'd like to introduce you to one of our new learning resources. It's based on Old Master drawings from the Devonshire collections, which are housed and taken care of at Chatsworth. Thanks to the generosity of the Tavolozza Foundation, we've been able to digitise quite a large number of them and have created some learning resources to support their publication online. The drawings that we have are largely the result of the collecting habits of the second Duke of Devonshire. You can see a portrait of him on your screen now, and he's actually seen here as a collector, sitting alongside a casket full of his gems. He holds one out towards us. He wanted people to share in his enjoyment of his collection. Now, drawings are quite hard to share, and this is largely due to how sensitive they are to light. You might understand a thing or two about this if you've ever drawn yourself or if you've ever collected drawings by your children or grandchildren. They can fade really fast. I'm going to show you a quick example from my own collection, a drawing that was given to me about 6 years ago by my nephew. Now, what you can probably see on the screen are the felt-tipped pen details, the strips of land and sky, and the bright vivid yellow sun. But what you probably can't make out are the pencil-drawn figures standing at the heart of this drawing holding hands. Only 6 years old, and already beginning to fade. You can see the challenge. Some of the drawings in our collection are over 500 years old, and yet they've been so well cared for that when we do look at them today, they almost look as vivid and fresh as they would have the day that they were coming out of the artist's studio. Let's take a look at some of them now so that you can get a sense of what to expect from this resource. The first up is by the early Italian Renaissance artist Lippy, and we think this is probably a portrait of a fellow artist. But what occurred to me when looking at it about a year ago when we first started planning this resource was that it almost looks like a meditation of the ageing process, and in fact that meditation is something that never does quite grow old. Compare that with this drawing by the high Renaissance artist Raphael. It's a red chalk compositional study for a large painting that Raphael went on to do called the Transfiguration. And this drawing was probably done quite far along Raphael's creative process. The actual composition is not much changed in the final painting, and we can also see in this drawing the square gridded background. Raphael was planning on transferring this square by square onto a larger surface. Quite different from this next example by the Flemish artist Peter Paul Rubens. This is pure brainstorming on paper. Rubens is working at speed in black chalk to capture the essentials of the figures in the two Franciscan friars that we can see here. He hasn't quite worked out how they will spatially relate to each other in the final painting that they were both being prepared for. And then this last example by the artist and architect Inigo Jones. It's a piece of stage set scenery, and when I first came across this a year ago and was thinking about what to say about it in a resource, I was struck by the lack of human activity. Rarely do you see the streets of London so empty as you see them here. It's interesting, looking at it again a year on, in April 2020, a whole new level of poignancy has arisen from those empty streets of London and those empty streets that we can see in lots of other villages, towns and cities across the world right now too. We really hope that you enjoy this resource, that you get something out of getting closer to the artists who created the drawings that are featured in this resource, for it's in their drawings that I think we get a lot closer to their creativity and to their expression and to their artistic personalities. But the other thing we really want you to do is take some time to just take in the details and make up your own meanings and interpretations, because one thing that seems very evident in these drawings, despite the number of centuries that might separate us from them is that their meanings shift and change all the time. And sometimes they shift and change to suit the circumstances of the person who happens to be looking at them. So please sit down, take your time and enjoy every single last detail. Thank you.